Hello and welcome to What Mandy Made Next. This is where I get to share with you my crafty makes involving fibres and threads. So today is Thursday, the 7th of April 2022. I do apologise in advance if you got a bit of glare here, but we've had rain all morning. It is the April showers and now we've got some sunshine just peeking through the clouds. So yeah, I haven't had a lot of time for crafting because I have been recovering from COVID, but yeah, I have some things to share with you. So you can find me on Instagram, and could I ask you please, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, tap the bell and you'll be notified when I upload a video. So I'm going to start with Mondays, what I've been up to since I last vlogged. And on a Monday I like to complete a miniature project, or at least work on one. So I have been working on the bunny runner, which is a table runner. I'm trying to get this made for Easter. Now, this was from a workshop facilitated by Liberty Bell. Liberty is an online shop in the UK. They are situated in Northwich, Cheshire, which is near Chester. So I went to a workshop a few weeks ago on it was on a Wednesday actually, and yeah, this is how far I have got. So I'm thoroughly enjoying working on this. Now there's not a lot of progress on this because when I went to the workshop, I think Sue must have been, who was facilitating the workshop, was pulling her hair out with me because I must have been tired. But some of this is flannel and some of it is felt, wool felt. And we use heat and bond to stick the shapes onto the main cloth, and you put the heat and bond on to the wrong side of the fabric, and some of the fabric was flannel and I was thinking it was felt, so I was ironing it to the right side of the fabric, and you can't get it off because it's glue. So she had to cut some more fabric out for me, but we got there in the end. I've just got to sew round the edge of the bunny and the shed and everything, just to secure the shapes onto the fabric. And obviously there's some more embellishments to go on. I hope to complete this next Monday and I'll be able to show you. So yeah. This is my bunny runner in progress. Right, Tuesdays I call my Thimble Tuesdays, and I'm currently working on this piece. It's called A Year in the Life Of. This is on a 14 count Ada. I do apologise for the creases, I've just pulled it out the hoop. But last time I showed this, I think I'd only completed the January window, and now I've completed the February one, and I'm starting to work on the March one, and this should be a hen. I think you can just see the start of a wing. So yes, I've been enjoying, so this is a pattern by the Historical Sampler Company. It is a kit which I purchased from Love Crafts. So that's what I've been working on a Tuesday. On a Wednesday I like to work with wool, and I call that my Wool Wednesday. See, sun's gone in now. Now we've gone a little bit dark. Never make its mind up, and we always talk about the weather, don't we? So this is a pattern I picked up in a charity shop a few weeks ago. I've never heard of this company. It's called Jarol. the reason what attracted me to the pattern was this little cardigan here and this one here as well. Thought they were quite pretty. So this only goes up to a size 24-inch chest. That isn't too bad actually. So yeah, I thought that was really pretty. So let me show you how far I've got. Here we are. It's the picot edge, and then we've got the yoke, which is made up of moss stitch, or some people call it a seed stitch. So basically it's just a rib. So when you do your second row of rib, you purl your knit stitches and you knit your purl stitches. So yeah, it gives you this lovely pattern. So there we go. This is the button band, and I've just got to knit the rib up for the buttonholes and complete the neckband. But I didn't have any lemon coloured buttons, but I bought some now, so I can get this finished. And the roses embroidered on. Unfortunately, there's no instruction to how to embroider these roses, so I'm going to have to get my magnifying glass out to have a look to see if I can decipher how they've been done. So this is the wool I've got left. I mean, that's enough for that button band and the neckband. Well, I'm pretty sure there is. This is 100% acrylic. It's Hayfield Bonus double knitting in the Primrose colourway, and I purchased this from Hobbycraft. They had an offer on where you could buy 300-gram balls and you only paid for 2. So I purchased the 3 hanks of wool, and I knit my granddaughter, if you remember, the Eglantine jumper by OGE Designs, and I had some left over, so that's what I have knit this little cardigan in. So her little sister will have this in the same colourway, which I thought would be lovely for Easter. So yeah, I like it when a plan comes together. So this was already in my stash, this yarn was. So what I'm trying to do this year is to get my stash down. That isn't my only stash. I have one of those IKEA carts. Everyone's got one in the craft room, and mine is jam full of yarn as well. So yeah, I really need to get the stash down. So I decided, and I talked about this in my plans video, I decided that for every 300 grams of yarn I used from a stash, I would then be able to purchase 100 grams of new yarn. So that's how I'm working it. So I've also got this wool, and it's by Style Craft, and it's called Recreate. I think it's called Recreate because it's recycled yarn. So 40% wool, and I think there's 30% acrylic and 30% polyester, and it says it's all recycled. So this is a double knitting weight. It's very soft, and if you look carefully, you might see little flecks of colour. I don't know if it's quite showing up, but there are little tiny flecks of colour in this yarn, like little blues and reds. And my middle daughter, Carly, liked the yarn, so this has been sat in my craft room for quite a while now. So I decided I would start knitting up a little jumper for my grandson. So I'm just going to consult my notes and I'll talk about the pattern that I've chosen. So this is the Jones cardigan and it's by Tin Can Knits. If you don't know, it's Alexa Ludeman and Emily Weasel. They collaborate together as Tin Can Knits. And I love their patterns. If you may remember, I knit the Gramps cardigan, and I've also knit the flax sweater for 2 of my grandsons. So yeah, they are really good. If you look on their website, Tin Can Knits, they have free patterns, knitting tutorials. It's brilliant. They're also on Ravelry. So this ebook I bought was called The Great White North. I had a look and there was quite a good selection of things to knit, from gifts to garments. So there was shawls, hats, cowl, scarf, a blanket, there's a cardigan, there's a beautiful sweater. It's called a snowflake sweater and I would love to knit that for one of my granddaughters. So yeah, really good value. So I purchased that and I am now knitting the Jones sweater with this Stylecraft. So let's show you how far I've got. Now I did make a mistake on this and I had to rip back to there, so I was going great guns and then unfortunately I had to rectify my mistake. But yeah, I'm just going to close the blind a bit. I think that's better now. Sorry, I just had to shut the blind a bit. It was a little bit too bright for my liking. So now this is probably too dark to show you. But I will take a photograph and you can see it a little bit closer then. So again, it's the moss stitch. Now I did get a little bit mixed up with their moss stitch because I'm sure you knit and purl, but then it looks like you do 2 rows of rib and then 1 row of moss stitch. But anyway, I've just done the usual moss stitch for the panels. So I am knitting, although he's going to be 5 in a month's time. I'm knitting 6-year-olds because a lot of work goes into your knitting and I want it to last a little bit longer. So I've just put some stitch markers in between the panels. So yeah, I love cabling. I think it's so effective. So yeah, that's the Jones jumper. Construction of this is it's got a thread on it there. A drop shoulder, and it'll have a shawl collar. And you knit, obviously, as you can see, I'm knitting this all in one, and it's bottom up. So there'll be no seams. And I think I'm nearly halfway there before I actually split off for the armholes. So yeah, I seem to be doing quite well with this. And in fact, although I do work on this on a Wednesday, I might do a little bit on this tonight. So that's my Jones jumper. The fabric, though, I just must say, feels quite limp. It is a wool because it's got 40% wool in it, and it feels like wool. But then when you're knitting with it, it feels as if it's a linen wool. It's very strange. But yeah, I'm liking the look of that. So, quite pleased. Now, I have something to tell you. Now, I have come to a bit of a decision. You may recall, I was knitting the Frances cardigan from this Marie Wallen book called Bloomsbury. And I was knitting in this wool by King Cole. It's called Panache, and this is in the oatmeal colourway. Now, I'm not enjoying knitting with this wool, I must admit. It does feel a little, I mean, that's a swatch I knit. I mean, it knits up lovely, and you get this sort of a very gentle marled effect, which I love. But it is quite, as you can see, splitty to knit with. Now, the pattern on the Frances cardigan, I love working lace, I really do. But you have to manoeuvre the needles in a way to create the pattern, and it's quite difficult with this wool. And I did some of the pattern and I thought, you know, I'm not enjoying this. So I ripped it back. I mean, this, I've done all the rib. And I think last time I spoke to you, I'd only got that far. So I'd done quite a bit of work on it. And I just carried on knitting in the round and thought, should I just do a plain cardigan? And then I thought, no, I like to have something. If I'm going to knit a cardigan, I don't want to be knitting a plain one. You know what I mean? I want something to look at. So I've decided I do like the look of the Whitmore cardigan. I've seen Jeanette of Crafty Clegs and Davina from Little Workroom Crafts. They knit the Whitmore sweaters. I think they did the cardigan as well. I know Davina did. But yeah, they really raved about the Whitmore. Both of them did. And this is a pattern by Amy Loudon for the Little Tailoress Studios. So I'm going to have a look at this swatch. I'm going to swatch, I'm going to knit a swatch on 4mm, see what it comes out at, and if I can get it to gauge, I think I'll be knitting a Whitmore cardigan with this. It just makes more sense to me. Instead of battling with a cardigan, I'm not enjoying knitting. It's nothing against the pattern. I love the Frances cardigan, but not in this wool. So that's what I've decided to do. So hopefully next time I vlog, I'll have come to a decision about this cardigan. And yeah, just one of those things, you know. I had a bit of a tussle with that one because if you remember, I kept twisting the rib, and finally I got everything sorted because you're knitting in the round, and then yeah, I'll have to rip all that out because the Whitmore cardigan is knit top down and not bottom up. Let's get on to a lighter note. On Thursday, I've been working on my cross-stitch, and it's called Mickey's Coffee. So this is by, let me just check my notes, Zana cross-stitch. This is a shop on Etsy. And I found out about this pattern through Denise from her YouTube channel, Black Ribbon Studio. So Denise, in collaboration with another lady on YouTube called Memphis Sarah are collaborating to do a sew along, and it started in January. I was a little late to the party, but I think I've caught up now. And this was how it looked last time I spoke to you. This is how it's looking now. Fabulous. I love it. I love the colours. It's the retro vibe. I can't stop stitching. In fact, I'm going to leave this out of the hoop, I think, for a while, because I know as soon as I rehoop this, I'll be back working on it. I've not only worked on this on a Thursday, but I've also worked on this on a Sunday, because on Sunday I call that my selection Sunday, and that's when I get to choose to work on a craft. And yeah, I've been working on this. I just love it. It's a full coverage, as you can see, and I think this is a 16 count IED, and I'm stitching this with all the call for threads, the DMC. But yeah, I can't wait for this to be completed, and then I'm going to get it framed, and this will go into my kitchen, I think. But I love this. I mean, look at the cup. Can you see the cup of coffee? And you can even see the steam coming off the coffee. I think it's great. Love it. So yeah, I've really been enjoying. It does look a bit complicated with all these threads, but honestly, they do pull out fine. I use what's called a parking method. I usually work in horizontal rows, so 10 stitches at a time. I use the parking method because it helps to keep me organised, especially when you've got lots of colour changes in a pattern. So once I've stitched a cross stitch, I then consult my pattern to see where the next cross stitch should be for that colour. I bring up the thread in the left corner hole where that cross stitch will be, and leave the thread there. So yeah, when I come to that particular row, I just rethread my needle with the thread. So that's how I keep on top of my full cover cross stitch. On a Friday, I usually do some sewing. So on a Friday, I usually call that my Friday Sews, which is a concept initiated by Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. And yeah, I usually sew either something for myself, which reminds me today I am wearing my Molly top. Well, it's actually a dress, but it's a pattern by Sew Over It. I sewed this up quite a few years back now, and this is my Blackwood cardigan by Helen's Closet. Now, my granddaughter wanted a dressmaking for her party, so there's a new Disney film out called Encanto, and she was having an Encanto themed party. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend because I have tested positive, although in England there is no legal requirement now to isolate. Me and Dave did isolate because it's only, it's his works policy, and also, the numbers have peaked, and you've got to think of others. So we did isolate. So I didn't attend the party. But I still made the dress for her, and yeah, It was a Princess Isabella dress that she wanted making, and yeah, I'll pop a card up which will link to that particular video. So on a Saturday, I call that my Scrappy Saturday, and this is where I like to quilt. So I've joined in a workshop facilitated by Liberty Bell again. It's called the Block of the Month, and we're making what's called the Riverside Knoll by Kim DL. Fabrics are a new range by Henry Glass, and they're called Writer's Rain. So you may recall I showed you this block I've made. This is the centre of the quilt, and I'll put some close-ups of the fabric in a short while. But aren't they beautiful? It's like a churn dash block, isn't it? Pattern. And also we appliqued 4 of these. These are pomegranates. I'm not too pleased with myself really how I've appliqued some of them. I'm not too pleased with myself really how I've appliqued these, because you can see the stitches, but hey ho, I call it primitive. Now these are made with the help of a bias bar, and I've never heard of these, but I've bought some from Liberty Bell now. They're called quilting bias bars. So basically you sew a tube of fabric, and then you slip your bias bar in. You twist the fabric round so the seam is at the back, and then you iron with the bar in, so you get this flat tube. Now I'm going to sew this down, and I've only got to sew to there, and then you leave the rest free. And I think it's because when the quilt top is constructed, I think this might go across to another block. But I've done the 4 of these, and then this Saturday we completed, now what's it called? We did instalment 2, yes. So this Saturday we did instalment 2, and it's called a spinning diamond block, and this is it. I think that's the way it goes. So yeah, I've got 3 more to make, and another block which has also got a pomegranate in it, but hopefully I'll be able to show you the progress of that next time I vlog. So been quite busy really, got quite a few projects on the go there. And yeah, I've still got my Beatrix Potter quilt to work on, but I want to get up to date with my Riverside Knoll, because I don't want to be falling behind with this, because my next class for the 3rd instalment will be in May. So my 3 daughters and my granddaughter had decided as a birthday treat for me, because I'd had a big landmark birthday, they were going to take me to London and take me to a show called Get Up Stand Up, and it was a Bob Marley tribute in one of the London theatres. So on Saturday, it was March now, it's 4 weeks ago, we were going to go to London, so I had to meet them at Cruise Station. So the first thing what happened, I got in the shower and there was hardly any water. And when we were driving round the estate, when Dave was taking me to the station, we saw a burst water pipe. So Dave was without water all day. Got to the station, got down to Euston, and we went straight to the hotel. Well, it wasn't a hotel as such, it was called the Hub. Very nice, and it was in Brick Lane, where my middle daughter Carly used to live in East London. So it's trendy apparently, because you know there's graffiti and wall art and all this, but very nice. So we were going to go for lunch, so we went through Spitalfield Markets because it was opposite Spitalfields, and then we went for lunch at Covent Garden, and we found a table straight away. Now at Covent Garden they have opera singers on and musicians, they all have a set, and you know you give money to them because they're giving this service free. So you go down the steps, and we straight away spotted a table, and yeah, great, sat on this table, ordered the food. You have these apps on your phone, and anyhow they ordered the food, and there was 2 gentlemen sat there who were rather merry, and that's when we realised why the table was free. Anyhow, I'd just finished my lunch. My youngest daughter's arrived late, so she'd only ate a couple of the sandwiches of her lunch when this chap collapsed on the floor. So my middle daughter ran round to him, I went to him because it was in front of me, and the quintet who had come on by then, they stopped playing and they had to ring an ambulance, so it was all a bit of a do. Anyhow, he got power in his arms and legs, and he was you know, he could open his eyes and respond to speech. So yeah, they'd call an ambulance, first aiders come, and we had to leave them because of the show. So we queued up for the show. It was right at the top of the theatre. We're all settled in our seats. We sat there for half an hour, and they come on and said the show was cancelled, so that was okay. So then we decided we'd go to a bar, because we were going to, we'd booked a tapas table at 7 o'clock. So by the time we'd faffed around, left the theatre, got back to the Hub, settled all the stuff off, you know, unpacked, we then went to this bar called Montage Bar, and yeah, it was happy hour, and they were having cocktails, so we ordered the cocktails. Mine and my youngest daughters didn't arrive, so we just sat there, and then about 20 minutes later, when we inquired, apparently they have this ice trough, and they dropped the glass in the ice trough, so they'd have to get all the ice out of the trough, clean it all out, put fresh ice in. So yeah, it was about quite a wait for our cocktail. So then we missed our restaurant reservation, and yeah, we ended up going out. So then we ended up going to a Mexican restaurant for our evening meal, and that arrived cold, and that had to go back. So it was. And then on the last day, the next day, we went to the Jack the Ripper Museum, which was that was okay, you know. and it's all gone dark now. And we got back to the station, and there was a train delay on, and we had to catch an interconnecting train to New Street and Birmingham, and then on to Crewe. So we had to wait half an hour before even the platform was broadcast. And then when I got home, you know, I was really tired. And then on the Tuesday, Wednesday it was, Dave tested positive to COVID. So yeah, it's been an entertaining month. So that was our trip to London. So it's got to be repeated again, because apparently you can't get your money back. You have to rebook the show. So yeah, that is my life update so far. Forward to the next few weeks. It's going to be Easter, so that'll be fun. So thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this vlog, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I do appreciate when you leave me comments, and happy crafting. Bye.